Hey folks, it's Darren Chang again, here to do another review of a travel pack. And this is the AER Travel Pack 2. So as you know, I did review the Travel Pack 1, which you can find in the link right there. And that first generation pack did a lot right. I really did like it as a bag. And you should know that AER, which is an outfit out of San Francisco, makes some great backpacks, not just travel packs. They also make some daily carries and other various different types of bags. This happens to be a 33-liter pack, but you should know that AER is pretty conservative when it comes to determining the size of their packs. Though they say this is a 33, it sort of, to me, it seems more like a 40-liter pack. I took this bag with me for a 9-day trip to Italy, and it did really well. It is designed for a single bag traveler, which is a philosophy where you bring the minimum amount of stuff. Let's talk about the changes that were made, because they are really significant changes. They seem to really listen to their users. And if you want to waste your time and look at my previous review of their version 1 of this bag, you'll see that many of the concerns I had, they addressed with this bag. So let's go ahead and focus in on the improvements that they made while I show you around the bag itself. So 12 major changes that these folks instituted that you can take a look at. So one of the first things here is that there used to be 2 zippers that were aligned right here with these compression straps. And one zipper here would allow you access to a tiny little sliver of a pocket. And this is the bottom of the bag, which I thought was kind of useless. And then the other zipper was right here, and it would give you access to a pocket that is essentially equivalent to the pocket that we have right now. But clearly they went ahead and simply gave us this one compartment right here, which goes right to the bottom of the bag. I think this is a really good design. Makes much more sense than their previous iteration. You'll also notice that there is a pouch here in the bottom, and this is designed for you to put your shoes into. And it used to have holes in the bottom, which would allow the air to get out, to keep your, allow the stench of your shoes to actually escape from the bag instead of being trapped in here. So that's a good thing. To not have holes in the bottom of the bag seems like a good idea, given that this is the bottom, so if you were to put this down in a puddle, water would go into those holes. Much better access to the organizer panel. So I'm going to show it to you in 2 different ways. You can see here that the zippers go more than halfway down the side of the bag here. And when you flop this open, you can see you have complete access to this wonderful organizer panel here. And they've done a lot of good work with this organizer panel. It used to be that this whole layer of pockets was actually tucked much lower. Keep in mind that the zipper used to be only to this point on the old bag, and so these were shifted down about 3 inches in this direction, which is not great because you can't get access to all the stuff that you need to see. So they've also changed the pockets. They have a nice gusseted pocket here, a mesh pocket so you can see things just through things. They also included now slots for your pens, and then they have 2 additional pockets down here where you could put your chargers or a portable drive. Also, they're gusseted as well, so they do have a little bit of volume. And then there's a zippered pocket here for any sort of tech stuff that you need, and it does have the ubiquitous key ring here, which I never use. And then right behind here, this goes all the way almost to the bottom of the bag. It actually goes to this point on the bag. There is a slot where you could put file folders, books, etc. Much better design than their original iteration of this organizer panel. I think it really works super well. This pocket right here, which is on the top of the bag here, this is where I always put my sunglasses. And in the original version, it was located in the front edge of the bag. If this is, you call this the front, and the area here where it attaches to your shoulders, you call this the back. It's now shifted towards the back of the pack in a much better place in my estimation. I really think that this makes much more sense in terms of protecting whatever it is that you might have in there, especially if it's something like your sunglasses. Okay, so good decision to shift that rearward. So let me open up the main compartment of this bag. You'll notice that this bag does open clamshell style, and you can see here, this is the bag that you would have put your shoes into. So it's a little odd because it takes up the interior space of the bag, as you'd expect. But this is nice that they've included this now, which is a mesh pocket. This didn't exist in version 1. And below that, this did exist in the previous iteration of the bag, having a small pocket down here, but this upper one is new. And then one of the things that I thought was a brilliant idea here is that they no longer have put the foam padding in the walls of this pack. That was one of the things that I was concerned about in the past with their previous version. And so it gives you more volume, basically, to pack stuff into. And I really didn't see any need in having the foam along these outside walls, because as soon as you pack up this bag and have stuff in it, it's going to provide some level of structure. They decided to simplify this handle a little bit more. It used to be that on this handle they had wrapped it. It was a strange sort of thing, but they wrapped it in foam that was then Velcroed onto the handle. A little hard to describe. Suffice it to say that they've simplified this design tremendously and made this a much more usable handle. Did a couple great things here for the suspension system. They did eliminate the load lifters, which I've always felt were kind of useless on a pack of this size and nature. So gone are those load lifters, which I think actually got in the way more than they actually helped. They've also redesigned the shoulder straps so that they're significantly better shaped, more comfortable to use because they're much more bowed than they were in the past. The one thing that I did see that they changed that I'm not a big fan of, I really liked having the horizontal piece of webbing that they used to have on both sides. It was a great place for me to be able to attach an accessory pouch for, say, my cell phone or for a small pocket camera or something like that. So it's too bad that they eliminated those, but they're gone. Most importantly, probably the biggest, most significant, important change is that they now offer, and unfortunately you buy it, it's about 20 bucks or so for this thing, but they now have the option to use a waist belt or a hip belt. And so it is removable. As you can see, I'm attaching it right now. And it's super easy to attach, although it won't fall off when you're using it. This makes all the difference in the world to me. When you have this thing fully packed, it can be pretty heavy. And if you're carrying it across a city for any period of time, if you're walking a couple of miles, you will greatly appreciate the ability of this hip belt here to be able to carry a significant amount of the load, taking it off your shoulder. It's much more comfortable. It also allows you then to let the back of the pack a little bit off your back, and so it allows for even more ventilation when the load is being carried by the hip belt. So I think this is a brilliant move for them to have included a hip belt. It's really was one of the major shortcomings of the bag in its first iteration. There are a couple of things that I still have issue with. Number one, I really think that this shoe pocket thing is nearly useless. I'd rather it not have anything here. I mean, I don't really need to have this pouch for my shoes. In fact, I could easily just get an old grocery bag, plastic grocery bag, and stick my shoes in there and put it into the main compartment. I don't need to have a special little compartment for it the way that they have it here. It's a lot of, it's basically over-engineering here. It's too much and it's not very useful. And the other piece that still drives me a little bit crazy here, and let me just show you how this works. I'm going to zip the bag up. Compression straps, I think, are great things. There's no doubt that they allow you to shrink the bag when you don't need as much room. The problem with these compression straps, however, is that the zipper to the main compartment goes underneath the compression straps, which means that every time you want to get into your main compartment, you have to unclip the compression straps on both sides in order to access them. That's kind of a huge pain. The other piece, and this is something that I mentioned in the previous review of the first bag, and that is if you cinch this down all the way, notice that I've done that right here. I'm cinching it all the way down. Because the buckle assembly is large, you can't actually cinch it any further than this. That's it, right? So if you were to imagine a smaller buckle, or if you had repositioned these buckles, then you could flatten this thing nearly all the way down to where you only have the top compartment in the frame sheet. So here I'm compressing it to its fullest extent because I can with my hands, but when you do it with the compression straps, you can only go so far because the buckle itself takes up a significant chunk of space to prevent you from being able to get any flatter than what we see right there. So there are a couple things that I would still like to see added to this bag. What I would love to see on the bottom here is a flat webbing handle, because there are some times where you're just grabbing your bag and it may be that it's up in the overhead compartment or something like that, and if you happen to have stuffed it in this direction, there's no good way to grab onto the bag because there's not a handle on this end. So being able to put a handle on this end would be great. They already have a handle on the side. It would be nice to add another similar handle on this side. There are many times where you just want to grab your bag like this and toss it to someone or throw it into the back of a car or whatever it is. Having those handles are really handy at all four sides of the bag. I'd also love for them to design something to be able to allow you to be able to stow these shoulder straps. So it would require having a Fastex buckle of some sort to unclip it here and then maybe slide it down into a sleeve, maybe just reverse it and stuff it down into a sleeve. It would be zipped open when you have the shoulder straps out, but you could zip it closed when the shoulder straps are stowed. There are many times when you're in an airplane situation where you don't want to have these straps grabbing at things. You want to keep everything smooth and flat. Maybe you're either putting it under the seat in front of you or you're putting it into the overhead compartment, and not having straps to grab onto things is really useful. The laptop compartment, I didn't even show you the laptop compartment. It's an excellent laptop compartment, separate so you don't have to dig into the main compartment of your bag. The only thing that I would love to see here is for there to be another small, it doesn't even need to be padded, maybe just have it fleece lined, a fleece lined bag into which I could put my large iPad. So I have one of those large iPad Pros. It'd be great to be able to put both devices into this area. And right now you really couldn't do that. You can only put in just the laptop or just the iPad. Put them both together, you might damage them. And then lastly, it would be nice for them to put some sort of stiffener in the front of this bag. Now they do this in their work bag, which allows the work bag to sit up on its own, on its back, on its butt here. I would like for them to do a couple things. I don't mind having compression straps. However, what bums me out is having to unclip 4 different compression straps in order to get access to the main compartment if I want to open up the main compartment entirely. So imagine this situation. Let me go ahead and unclip these guys. Right now, when you get access to the main compartment, after unclipping those compression straps, notice that the hinge is at the bottom here. And while that's potentially useful in terms of preventing water from getting in, the number of times you're going to put your pack down in water is relatively rare, whereas the number of times you're going to get access or want to get access to the main compartment of the bag, it's going to happen all the time. So what I would prefer for them to do, or for AER to do, is to put the hinge on one of the sides and have the zipper then go around this way, so it would be more of a suitcase-like style, where then the cover would open in this direction. In that way, you could actually have compression straps that didn't have the buckle. They would just be a simple set of compression straps that you could cinch down tremendously tightly. And again, if you eliminate these two as ones that have to be opened all the time, then you really never have to deal with these 2 compression straps. You only have to deal with the 2 compression straps on this side when you go to open the bag in this way. And then on this side, they could just readjust the compression straps, either find a more efficient sort of buckle system, or even move the buckles to perhaps the front of the bag, which I know is going to destroy the design ethic. It looks beautiful, the smooth, open face of the bag here. But if they just move this buckle slightly over to the front end here, then there's the potential for you to be able to compress the bag more completely down. So I don't know. I leave it up to AER. You guys are the designers, but I would love to see something that would eliminate me having to unclip all 4 of the compression straps when I go to get access to the main compartment or pack this bag up. And if I only have to deal with 2 of them, that's not as big a deal. So there you have it. This is the AER Travel Pack 2. I think it's a great bag. It worked out beautifully for me when we were traveling in Italy. I was able to keep all my stuff in here, well, except for my camera stuff, which I had in a little shoulder bag. But it really did wonders, and it was easy to carry, comfortable to carry for long hauls. It was smoking hot in Italy when we were there in August, and I never got overheated using this bag. I think it really did a nice job carrying the load comfortably for some of our long walks around Rome and Siena, etc. All right, folks, take a look at any of my other pack reviews and give me a thumbs up or subscribe. Thanks.